couple minutes to explain what you need to do to complete the assignment for Hills Like White Elephants. You're going to complete this as a text submission, so you'll type your answers directly into the text box. And the first thing you're going to need to do in order to complete the assignment is read the Ernest Hemingway short story called Hills Like White Elephants. It is on pages 274 to 277 of the textbook, but I've also attached a copy of the story in a file, here in the instructions, so you can read it either way. So you'll read that story first, and I'm going to warn you, it is not easy to figure out. It is a tough story. It's short, it's only about 4 pages long, but the story is all dialogue. There is very little narrative in it. It's just a conversation between two people. And there are not always dialogue tags, so you have to really pay attention to the back and forth of the dialogue to figure out who is saying what. Now there's only 2 characters really. There's a waitress, like a bartender, who speaks a couple lines, but for the most part it's just the 2 main characters having a conversation. So you have to keep up with which character is saying what. On top of that, the story itself, what they're talking about, is not clear. It is a very mysterious story in a lot of ways. It doesn't seem like it. You're probably going to finish reading it and being like, what was that? Like, thanks for wasting 15 minutes of my life. But it's not a waste, because if you can figure out what's going on, it's pretty spectacular. And even if you can't figure out what's going on, we're going to talk about it next week. So do not do any outside research, as tempting as it might be for this story especially. Just try. Just give it your best shot. The questions that you're going to have to answer do not require you to fully understand what's happening just yet. So don't do any outside research. Just give it your best shot. We will absolutely go over the story in detail next week. So once you've read the story, you're going to answer the 3 questions that are there. Question 1, who are the 2 main characters in Hills Like White Elephants? And what did you learn about each character as you read? So even if you still can't figure out what the heck they're talking about, you can figure out a little bit about them as people, as characters. Okay? Question number 2. Although most of the story is made up of dialogue, there are several moments where the narrator describes the setting of the story. What do we learn about the setting? That means anything about the setting. Literally where they are, the location, as well as what is around them, the scenery. Okay? There's not very much of it, but what do we learn about the setting? And then number 3, what questions do you have after reading the story? And you'll probably have several, and that's fine. Okay? But it might be very tempting to do the research for this one, to look it up, figure out what it's all about, but please don't. You'll be able to answer these 3 questions without fully getting the details of the story. Now it might frustrate you, like a bit of a cliffhanger. You read the story and you answer the questions and you still don't really know what it's about and you have to wait till next week. But just hang in there. We will go over it and you will understand the story so much better next week. So do your best. Remember, you're graded on effort, not correctness. So just do your best. And if you have any questions or run into any difficulties, let me know. I would say I hope you enjoy the story, but I think you'll probably be a little more frustrated and confused at first. But just remember, that leads us to a better understanding eventually. So give it your best shot, and we will discuss it at length